Well, here we are. It has become the 29th, and it's cold here. Just now got above freezing. Not bitter cold, but cold enough and damp. Had a dusting of snow. It's not on the road, but it's on the cars and on the rooftops. First snow we've seen, I think, this year. Oh, there was a little snow. There was a little snow Wednesday, but it was too warm. It didn't stick to anything. Didn't amount to anything here at Ozark. So anyway, we're in chapter 16 of the book of the prophet Jeremiah, and this is the sermon that is the sign of the unmarried prophet. We have to bear in mind that this is a personal thing to Jeremiah, because the men of Anathoth have taken his house, his land, his father's inheritance, and his sweetheart, his beloved, and taken away from him. God says that he will judge them. God tells him to quit praying for the people, but Jeremiah keeps begging God for the people. God will not refrain from destroying the city or the nation of Judah or the city of Jerusalem. He's made up his mind. He is judging them because of their idolatry, sacrificing their children and believing lying prophets. And he will explain more about that today. Actually, we'll get there. God tells Jeremiah that he is going to avenge him for the things that the men of Anathoth did to him. Then he tells him that he can keep praying for them, the people in general, because God does want people to return to him. But he says, don't go to them. They have to come to you. In other words, don't live in their lives. Live outside their lives. Live a separated life. And as the Holy Ghost moves them, they would come to you. The ones who believe the word of God will come to you. Let them come to you. Do not go to them. Why? Because destruction is the order of the hour. And in about 8 more years from when Jeremiah is speaking here around 600 BC, 601 BC, well, then it'll be finalized. Babylon will bring in, the last 2 chapters have been about the drought and why the drought comes. See, the drought brings the famine, which brings the pestilence, which brings the death, which brings the weakness, which brings on the invading armies. And the invading armies are now getting close, and they have a puppet king in Zedekiah. We'll just pick up where we were yesterday, briefly, where God gives him these commands yesterday and the day before. Verse 1 of chapter 16, the word of the Lord came also unto me, saying, Thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons and daughters in this place. So it's a heck of a thing to tell a guy, You can't have a wife. You can't have children. You can't have a family. You can't have a regular deal because you're working for me. We spent a whole day talking about this, so you might want to go back a couple of episodes. I don't want to spend today talking about it too. For thus saith the Lord concerning the sons and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, and concerning their mothers that bear them, and concerning their fathers that begat them in this land. Verse 4, they shall die of grievous deaths. They shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth. And they shall be consumed by the sword, by the famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. For thus saith the Lord, enter not into the house of mourning, neither go to lament nor bemoan them, for I have taken away my peace from this place, saith the Lord, even loving kindness and mercies. I've taken it away from the peace, taken my peace away from this place. from this place, but not from this people entirely. His hand is still extended in an offer. The offer that Jeremiah has given to them and will again give to them is if you will return to the Lord. He will deliver you. He'll preserve your body. He won't let you die in this mess. Good morning, Chris. He'll keep you alive. Not only that, he'll let you stay here on your own land. He won't take you into captivity to Babylon or kill you with a sword. He won't do either one. He'll leave you here as a remnant. He promised to do that. As we will learn as we go through the book of Jeremiah, not that many people take God up on his offer, but some do. And they are acquitted because they have done this. So when he says he's taken his peace away and his loving kindness and his mercies, it means he's taken it away from the kingdom of Judah, the nation, the country of Judah. He's taken his loving kindness, his mercies, his peace. He's taken it away from the city of Jerusalem, which he plans to wipe as a man wipeth the plate. Wipe it clean. But he has not taken away his peace from individuals. Now, here today in the United States, he has taken away our peace. And it looks as though he's taken away his loving kindness and his mercies from us because we live in an apparently godless and graceless age. But no matter what it looks like, it is not godless because God is still on the throne and prayer changes things. And we're not graceless because the offer of grace still stands. We're in the age of grace. We're still able to come to the mercy seat and ask forgiveness. But one day very soon, the mercy seat will become the judgment seat, and there won't be anything but blood and fire. You need to get ready now. Prepare to meet thy God, O Israel, as Amos said. Now, we made it clear that he has not removed his peace from the people because his offer still stands, but he's removed his peace from the place. He has removed his peace from the place of the United States. You don't believe me, just go to town. Verse 6, beginning with verse 6 today. Now both the great and the small shall die in this land. Doesn't matter who your daddy is. Doesn't matter how rich you are. Doesn't matter what side of the tracks you were born on. It doesn't matter if everybody knows you or if nobody knows you. It doesn't matter whether you drink at Cheers where everybody knows your name. It doesn't matter whether you use Dial and don't you wish everyone did. It don't matter whether you brush your teeth with Pepsodent and wonder where the yellow went. Or used a lot of Brill cream when a little dab will do you. None of that will matter anymore. None of it matters now. Both the great and the small shall die in this land. Both the great and the small. They shall not be buried. Remember, he's already said he's going to leave their bodies upon the earth as dung upon the earth, and the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field are going to feed on them. And I told you other examples of that was going to happen, like in the Battle of Armageddon. Both the great and the small shall die in this land. They shall not be buried, neither shall men lament for them. Nobody's going to miss it. Good King Josiah, the last good king, his father, who was Manasseh's son, Amon, he didn't rule very long. He was killed by his own people, by some of his own counselors, and they set little Josiah on the throne, who was 8 years old. He ruled 31 years in Jerusalem. But they had talked about leaving his body out to where the beast could eat it, but they did bury him. They buried him in a garden, but they wouldn't bury him in the sepulchre of his fathers. They gave him a coward's death, a heathen's death and burial. It's reminiscent of some times in the northern kingdom of Israel where their bodies were strewn out upon the ground and nobody buried them. And the valleys seemed to flow with blood. And at the Battle of Armageddon, which this is a precursor to, both in Judah and now with us, we're in the preparatory phase, a stage for what one day will be the Battle of Armageddon, where the armies of this world join together to try to keep Christ from coming back. Good luck. They'll think it's space invaders or something. But that's not the rapture I'm talking about. That's the second coming, and that's when the dead will be left in the field, unburied, to be eaten by the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. It's a precursor to that. Both the great and the small shall die in this land. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter what your function is. It doesn't matter if you drive a Mercedes or got a good haircut or a nice suit or a fancy title. None of that matters. Both the small and the great will die. He's telling that in Judah. You'll see it for yourself here pretty soon. They shall not be buried, neither shall men lament for them, nor cut themselves, nor make themselves bald for them. None of the traditional things of mourning. The first thing a widow did in Israel was to cut her hair. She would take a knife and she would pull out a long hank of hair and cut it off, to show that she was bereaved, to show that she was mourning, to mar her personal appearance, to show her affinity with the dead, to mourn. If you know any Orthodox Jews, what's the first thing that happens when somebody in the family dies? You go cover up all the mirrors, because there's no personal grooming and stuff that goes on for an Orthodox Jew. It's the modern version of walking around in sackcloth and ashes. You mourn. That's why a Jew tries to bury their dead within 24 hours. It has to happen quick. But there won't be a marked time of mourning. Neither shall men tear themselves for them in mourning to comfort them for the dead. Rip your garments, fall upon the dead, comfort the widow, comfort the children. Promise them that, hey, daddy's dead, but I'll take care of you. As long as I'm alive, you can eat at my table. I'll make sure you don't do without anything. I'm sure that there are honorable men watching me right now. I'm sure at some point in your life you have said the equivalent of that when a friend died and left a wife and kids, and you said, hey, don't you worry about a thing. You won't want for a thing. You won't go hungry. You won't go naked. You won't go without a house. We'll take care of you. Because that's what honorable people do. That is what godly people do. They take care of the widows and the orphans. It is the ungodly who tries to destroy widows and orphans, usually through political policies. don't want to give anything to those poor people, scared that they might use it on drugs or something. Most poor people are worried about eating. They're not worried about drugs. They can get drugs other places. Matter of fact, here where I live in Ozark, I wouldn't have to walk a mile before I could get marijuana. I think it's legal here now, but I don't know the details because I had smoked marijuana in 27 years. So I don't know. But I know it's legal now here. But gosh, I could get uppers and downers. And I'm not familiar with all the kinds anymore, but I could get pills. I know I could get pills. All I needed was a little money and enough time to strike up a conversation. Good morning, Kevin. It's like I remember about 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, Colorado, where they made recreational marijuana legal in Colorado. Somebody said, "Yeah, Jimmy, you're going to go to Colorado now?" Why? I can get all the marijuana I need in Ozark. Why should I drive all the way to Colorado? Of course, I don't partake. I'm a teetotaler. Neither shall men tear themselves for them in the morning to comfort them for the dead. Nobody's going to comfort them. That's part of the judgment. Neither shall men give them a cup of consolation to drink for their father or for their mother. A cup of consolation would be strong drink. Strong drink is reserved for those who mourn and those who are about to die. Like I said, I'm a teetotaler, but I understand the medicinal purposes of drinking. Even in the Baptist church covenant that we claim to follow but don't, but it's hanging in all our churches. It says that we will abstain from alcohol, and then there's a little phrase right after it that says, as a beverage. In other words, there's a difference between giving somebody a shot of whiskey because they're about to shake to death out of grief to pull themselves together, or to somebody that's dying to numb the pain. There's a difference between that and having beer and wine with your supper. Anybody with any sense knows that you're supposed to drink iced tea at supper. At least that's what we drank back home. Iced tea every night. I used to have to put the ice in the glasses. You remember galvanized tin cups and the big pitcher? That tin pitcher would keep it cold in there for a long time. You get that water on the outside of it, that moisture, that condensation. I'm dragging up too many memories today. Neither shall men tear themselves for them in mourning to comfort them for the dead. Neither shall men give them the cup of consolation to drink for their father or for their mother. Now, in all their turmoil, when they're hurting and they're not being comforted and they're not being assured, God tells Jeremiah, thou shalt not also go into the house of feasting to sit with them to eat and drink. What's the first thing a preacher does when somebody dies? You visit them, the family. You see if there's anything you can do. You try to comfort them. You see what they need. You alert the women in the congregation if they don't know already. You alert the people and you say, hey, we need to get meals over here. Somebody needs to come over here and clean this place up. They're going to be having a lot of visitors coming in and out. And they need an air mattress and they need some cots. You need to get some stuff over here now. That's what we do. And then the next thing we do, or at least in our house, what we've always done is we bring fried chicken and cold potato salad. When I hear somebody's dead, first thing I do is fried chicken and make potato salad. Well, I make potato salad and put it in the fridge. And then when it's cold, I fry the chicken. And then we take it to the family. On rare occasion, when I was too lazy to do that, we'd just get the roaster and put a big pot roast with potatoes and carrots and just roast it and carry that over there. There's things you do when you're a man or a woman of God, when people die and they're bereaved. They can't do for themselves. You can't expect bereaved people to act straight or think straight. They're drowning in their grief. You got to take over. You got to go in and help. They need the help. That's when they need you. People have done it for us. We do it for others. I remember when Velda's father died, and we had food left over for a week. Had to throw some of it away. Didn't have enough dogs to eat it all. They brought enough food over for 100 preachers. Thou shalt not also go into the house of feasting to sit with them to eat and to drink. Remember what God told Jeremiah? He said, let them return unto thee. That's back in the last chapter. But return not thou unto them. If you're asking them to return to the Lord and they do, great. But don't go to them. They have to come to you. God wants Jeremiah separate. I'm telling you, in faith and practice, he wants us separate too. We're supposed to live separated lives. We're not supposed to be confused with the world. I don't act like the world. I don't think like the world. I don't belong to the world. My citizenship is in heaven. My home is in heaven. I'm here in a far country. I'm an ambassador for a foreign land in the service of a Lord who has gone away to receive for himself a kingdom and will come again to establish that kingdom here on earth. I am an ambassador, a diplomat of that Lord and of that nation that will be built here on the earth, that kingdom. And it's coming soon, because he's coming soon. God told Jeremiah, if they return, don't go to them. Let them come to you. Don't mix with them. Don't get caught up in their BS. Don't get caught up in their drama. Don't sit there and hold them while they blame God for all their troubles. I'm not going to put up with it, God said. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will cause to cease out of this place. In your eyes, Jeremiah. He's talking to Jeremiah. In your eyes, Jeremiah, you're going to see it. I'm going to show you. I'm sorry, I'm a little uncomfortable this morning. It's okay. We just go right on ahead, don't we? You who have been with me long enough know that sometimes things are uncomfortable. But we just keep going. One day I may not be here, but you'll know where I am. I'll be with the Lord. And that's far better. You can go ahead and miss me if you want to, but I wouldn't waste a lot of time with it. What you do when I'm dead is you go listen to Josh Akins or James Akins or Ron Adrian. You go listen to somebody that tell you the truth. And keep going. You keep going. You keep going till the Lord calls you home. Don't quit. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't give in. There used to be a tattoo I saw a guy had. It said, never don't give up. It seems to be a double negative, but I think it was a deal. I think it was something that a lot of people did. Never don't give up. I would have said that in English, the King's English. I would have said, "Do not ever give up," or "Don't ever get up," but give up. But the tattoo said, "Never, don't give up." It means the same thing. Verse 9, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes, Jeremiah, and in your days. God is going to cause the United States to cease inside in front of my eyes. He's doing it right now. My whole life has been spent in the judgment of God. The remedial judgment, the warning judgments began on November 22nd, 1963. I was 8 years old, nearly 9. The punitive judgments, or the destructive judgments, where he is going to destroy us, began on September 1st, 2001. We have been in the punitive judgment phase ever since, and we will get weaker and weaker and weaker until we are no more. He is causing, in my eyes, he is causing this place to cease. He's already caused the place that I knew as a young man to cease. I saw this country and all its pride and all its glory and all its honor and all its arrogance. I seen the whole thing, baby. And like Merle Haggard wrote, I seen it go away. It's gone now. And now I feel like a man whose saddle is turned and I'm riding under the horse's belly upside down and can't turn loose. What Jeremiah is promised by the Lord, he says, I will cease this place. I'm going to cease out of this place in your eyes and in your days. What's he going to cease? Let's see what he told Jeremiah and let's compare it to what happened to Jimmy and what Jimmy saw. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes and in your days the voice of mirth. That's joy. You ever hear any joy nowadays besides phony joy? Or people who laugh because they think they're supposed to? I tell you what, we work real hard at trying to be happy, and I don't know very many people who are that happy, except those that trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. All my friends that I grew up with, they're all smarter than I am and got big degrees. They're educated. They're very liberal, more liberal than I am. And I always thought that I was kind of liberal, but the things I believe wouldn't be considered liberal now. JFK was my hero. But all of them people that I know, so many of them, not all of them, there are exceptions, but so many of them that I know, they got everything in the world. By now they're not working, but they had good jobs and they get good retirements and they're well to do. Some of them are even rich. But they gripe all the time. They gripe about how things are. About 2/3 of them gripe about Trump. Like that's the only thing there is in the world. And the other third of them gripe about Biden. You can't be happy if you're bitching all the time. It's a sign. What it means is you didn't get what you want. Not sure what they want. I'm not sure what anybody wants anymore. Because the things that make people happy today, I don't understand. I saw it when I was in high school. Reeling in the years, it says, "You things you think important, I just can't understand." Well, the things that people today think are important, I don't understand. Gaming, virtual reality, AI, artificial intelligence. I had a discussion the other day with a young man, younger than me, who was talking about AI. And I said, well, the worst blasphemy I could imagine was if they used AI and say you had a new John Wayne movie. Well, the character that they make with AI to be in the movie, I mean, it's a lot more sophisticated, but it'd be like CGI, but it would be a bigger deal. Uh, it might look exactly like John Wayne and make all the facial expressions and move like John Wayne. But we would know that it isn't John Wayne, and at some point he would either say something or do something that Wayne would never have done. It seems like an abomination to me. But AI is the very technology that the false prophet is going to use to get the people to worship the beast during the tribulation, which could start any day because Jesus is returning any day for his church. We're going to be raptured. The voice of mirth will disappear. I saw it go away. The voice of gladness, I saw it go away. The voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, I've seen them go away. I've seen it all go away. Honor, trust, faith, until it all comes down to just me. Me, I, me, my, I. Maybe that's all it ever was, but it didn't seem that way when I was a kid. It didn't seem that way for that period between 1960 and 1968 when anything was possible, even though the world seemed to be falling down around our ears. It was an age of wonder. Bobby Kennedy said that other men would look at dreams, dreams, and say, why? And he says, I'd look at dreams and say, why not? That's the difference between hope and despair. You see, we have no hope except in our Lord Jesus Christ. And if our hearts are not fixed on him, if he doesn't own our allegiance and our worship, then we have no true mirth. We have no true gladness. And as far as the voice of the bride and bridegroom, most of the requests I get to marry people have come after they've had a couple of babies. And I'll say, well, it's about time. Marriage doesn't seem important to people. Having kids doesn't seem important to people. There is a new kind of creature. 40 years ago, we were joking about yuppies and stuff like that. Now it's dinks. Do you know what that means? Velda and I had to look it up. A dink is a double income, no kids. So they can spend everything they make on themselves and whatever foolishness they can imagine. And that is why God tells Jeremiah not to return to them, but let them return to you. I know how that feels because I've had to take a step back and let people come to me. I'm working more because of it. I get invited to do more meetings than before. Part of the reason is that I don't have to wait so long for people to call me because Dr. Adrian is scheduling me. And as long as I'm able to go, I'll go. They want to hear what I have to say, and I don't know why, except that God has blessed me. And He put His words in my mouth, and He put them in my heart. And that is why anything against God, the God who lives forever, not the God of this world, or the God of your own imagination, but the God who lives forever, before whom I stand and whose servant I am. So I'm grateful to Him, because I've seen it, boys, and I've seen it go away. I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes and in your days the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. As the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness stop, turn on your TV. 5 minutes worth of cable news will convince you that it's gone. Bridegrooms and brides don't get married hardly anymore. There are now more adults cohabitating than there are adults married in the United States. That's never been before. It is now. And some of those cohabitating are the same kind. You got blues with blues and pinks with pinks, and maybe a pink with a blue and a pink, and who knows what kind of how the thing is organized. But just imagine the mathematical implications of such a thing. And the question you have to ask is why? Well, it's good that you ask because God tells us why. And it shall come to pass in verse 10, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Moi? Well, what have I done wrong? Surely not. And quit calling me Shirley. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is our iniquity? What have I done? Like every guilty kid in the world that you snatch up by the scruff of the neck and lay your hand across his butt, he's going to be screaming, what did I do? Of course, I don't guess we do that anymore. You know, truth to tell, I never was very good at that with my kids. Velda was a disciplinarian in our family. I always started crying when I had to spank one of my kids. I hated it when I had to do it. I didn't do a very good job of it, and I didn't do it very hard either. Partially because I'd never get mad at them. They don't understand it, but my kids are my whole life. My two sons. I love my wife, and she gave me two sons. I couldn't be more proud of all three of them. It is I who deserve pity, not them. They're all right. Wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us, and what is our iniquity? And what is our sin that we've committed against the Lord our God? They're even calling him their God. Well, Jeremiah, for 16, 15 and a half chapters has been explaining to them by the word of the Lord why God is doing this to them over a period of over 12 years now, at least 12 and probably more since God called him. And he's repeated the same thing. Because you went a whoring after other gods, spiritual adultery, you committed idolatry. Because you sacrificed your children to Molech and made them pass through the fire to Baal and Ashtaroth and Chemosh and the abomination of the Midianites. All of this stuff because you sacrificed your children. And because you believed lying prophets, you believed the lies. The first lie was the temple, that God would never destroy Jerusalem because the temple is there. And then later the lie said, peace, peace, when there is no peace. And the prophets and the princes and the priests were crying peace and telling everybody that everything was going to be okay, even though Nebuchadnezzar had a puppet king in Zedekiah, even though Nebuchadnezzar's army was invading Judah from 3 different directions at this point. Never forget that Nebuchadnezzar is planning to battle the last holdout to his world empire, and that is Egypt. To press his campaign on Egypt the way he wants to do it, he has to either have a neutral Judah or a conquered Judah. So he is in the process now of having a neutral Judah. When that doesn't work out, he'll conquer Judah. Now, Nebuchadnezzar doesn't know that yet, but God does. And that's why he's telling the people through Jeremiah. Wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? And what is our iniquity? And what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God? Then shalt thou say unto them, God says to Jeremiah, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. And ye have done worse than your fathers. For behold, ye walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart, that they may not hearken unto me. Therefore will I cast you out of this land, into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers. And there ye shall serve other gods day and night, and I will not show you favor. Well, I think I've talked way too long, but that's a good place to stop. We'll pick up in the midst of that tomorrow. God bless you.